So for today's episode, I have Kurt Brecht, singer of a punk band. That punk band is the Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. Kurt Brecht is not only a writer of lyrics, he's a writer of books. I'm going to get into that. D.R.I, the acronym for the Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, is on tour now. Next dates are in Australia and New Zealand. Dates are down below in the description, or just go to their website. D.R.I is revered for their rowdy crowds, Running Man logo, and work ethic. They are called to perform all over the world and have been for the last 40 years. From what you hear out of this interview, that will not be changing anytime soon. Kurt joined me to discuss his career, his time with record companies, MTV, and much more. And Dave Grohl, his history with Dave Grohl, that's pretty cool. Kurt's influence on others has been effective. What he is looking forward to is seeing everyone out there at his shows. His voice has influenced many to this day, and right now on the Crimson Podcast, you as the audience get to hear it. This is the Kurt Brecht.
No, I pretty much handled up on everything this morning. Got a big poker game tonight, but that's not till 7.
Oh, okay. Always been a poker guy? Like Texas Hold'em or?
Texas Hold'em, and we play other games too.
Very cool. So, we'll get it started right here. Everybody, welcome to the Crimson Podcast. Today I have for you the singer of the band Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. Kurt, thank you for joining us. Kurt Brecht, right?
Brecht, yep, no problem.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for coming on here. I had just seen you guys play in October in Lakeport, California.
I remember.
It was in the 17th, and we had a great time. I had a killer time, and let's see here. I have the flyer right here. Who else did you guys play with? It was with Death Wish and your mom.
Right.
Yeah, they were all pretty good too. So you're on a break right now, correct?
Yes, glorious break. We were super busy last year.
Yeah, it's your 40th anniversary tour that's lasted 2 years.
Yeah, well, who's counting?
I understand you got to make up the time from COVID.
Yeah, for sure. We had a lot of postponed gigs and tours that we had to do.
Yeah, I'm sure that was frustrating.
We'll just be going back, and our next tour is the end of February, and we will be in Australia, which has been postponed like 3 times already from different lockdowns they've had.
I understand. Yeah, they went pretty hard with the lockdowns in Australia. Everywhere did, but they seem to have kept it going longer, which it's whatever. But let me see here. I'm at your website right now. I just want to look at the dates for Australia. Oh, you got a couple New Zealand dates too. Right after, it looks like.
Yeah, it's killer. We played there before. It was really good.
Yeah, I've only seen video and pictures of New Zealand. That I wanted to go there before COVID, either Australia or New Zealand. It just looks freaking beautiful. And for those who are not aware that Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, they're a kick-ass punk band. You stationed in Texas pretty much, right? All you guys? Everyone in the band?
No, they're all in the Bay Area except me.
Oh,
we started here though. We started in Houston.
Right.
I went back.
Right, you guys started around 82, correct?
Right.
All right, then you moved to San Francisco for a while, and then
yep.
and then you went back to Texas. Okay, okay. Um, very cool. Did when you guys decided to go to Texas, was it just I know if correct me if I'm wrong, the story is you guys went there. Were you offered gigs with MDC before you went over there or after? Because you went on a tour with them not long after
Yeah.
moving.
I believe we had one gig in San Francisco. So we just went there to play that one show, and then we ended up staying there. So then, yeah, our first tour that we got was MDC offered us to go
So you went out there to
from
play.
the Bay Area. Yeah,
Okay,
from San Francisco, we took off around the U.S.
okay. The decision to stay there was just because you had the support when you got there, or was it you saw the scene
We did
there?
have a little. We had a little bit of support, but our bass player quit after a few days, and then we're like, well, we could go back to Houston and try to find a bass player, but we already knew all the bass players in San Francisco. There was a lot of musicians there to choose from, so we just picked up another guy there in San Francisco and took off on tour.
Very cool. Um, so to give a background to me of me for everyone listening, um, I'm not a diehard DRI fan. I enjoy you guys a lot. I'm interested. Um, where I come into the mix here, my mom was married to your brother, the original drummer for DRI,
Correct.
and she palled around with you guys for a while. And going into that, she saved a lot of flyers. So she lent me some cool ones. So we got Rock Against Reagan.
Cool.
Yeah. This was that first tour you were talking about, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, with the Dead Kennedys. That's really
Right.
cool.
It was a free tour in that they would set up outside, and then you'd play on a flatbed from a 18-wheeler flatbed truck, and usually in some public place, like on at a college campus or somewhere at the mall in DC, something like that. So just everybody watching you would just be people walking by and stuff. There'd be some fans that knew about it, but since it was such a large area, our fans didn't really fill up the outside area. So yeah, it was a good chance to kind of scream at people that never heard of you and just walking
Sure.
by and all that you don't get in a club show. In a club show, you got everybody there's a fan, except maybe a bartender or something like that. But um, yeah, it was different. Probably a good chance for us to get out there and practice playing on the big stage and all that. They gave us a little bit of money for gas and they gave us free food. That was it.
Okay. I I'm imagining that setup on the flatbed. That's interesting. Um, was it so someone carried around drove around a flatbed? It was the same flatbed every time. Yeah, you
Yeah,
didn't have to find one. Okay, okay, very
yeah. They
cool.
had a big PA system and all that they set up.
That's cool. With my band, we either get a PA or we don't. It's either all out of amps, and I'm a drummer, so it's either I'm unmiked or not. I don't.
Right.
Yeah. Um. Oh, cool. Classic pin.
Nice.
And your brother drew this, right? The original logo.
Right. He and I were in a art school together before we started the band, so that was just one of the projects that he did.
Um. Well, since you mentioned art school, let me know if this is okay. I have your brother's art school
I saw that.
ID. um,
Pretty cool.
yeah, Eric, if you see this, if you want this back, we'll send it to you free of charge. Shipping
I'll
rate.
mention it to him.
um, okay, okay. I want I after the show, when I saw you guys in October, I was watching a few interviews with you over the years. I mean, you guys have been on quite a few different show headbangers ball and all that, but I realized you were in Probot, Dave Grohl's project, to those who don't know. Yeah, Silent Spring's freaking sick. I really,
I like it.
yeah, I dug that. And um Probot's those who don't know, Dave Grohl pretty much produced and played on and got all his favorite singers to,
From that era, yeah.
right. Jack Black's on there, Lemmy Kilmister's on there, King Diamond's on there, and stuff like that. Did you spend a lot of time with Dave, or just went into the record?
No, no time. I talked to him on the phone, worked out the details,
Mhm.
and then he sent me the music, and then I took a little bit to write the lyrics, and then went into the studio here in Houston, recorded over his music, and then sent him back the finished product, which he dialed in and produced and engineered it, make it sound better and all that. I guess
Very cool.
he edited.
Right. That's convenient to be able to do that from such a distance. Like, did you have to mail your takes to LA? Okay. Still okay. All
Yeah,
right.
he wanted me to just come in like that day or something. When I talked to him on the phone, I hadn't even heard the music yet. He's like, "Yeah, just come in." I'm like, "I'm professional, but not that professional." I mean, I cared about it enough to know that I wanted to take a few days to write it and then to practice it before I went in the studio.
I understand. That's cool. Yeah, they did a few shows, and I think only Lemmy was doing front vocals. I saw another video with someone else, but
I
yeah.
wasn't invited.
Oh man, what the hell, Dave? He I saw an interview with you, and you mentioned the story is he ran into DRI when he was a kid.
Well, he's
And
got some books. He's got some books out. One of them's called "The Call," and he talks a lot about DRI's mentioned in there a few times. Yeah, and he mentions like he went to the Rock Against Reagan in Washington D.C. and bought a 7-inch record, our 7-inch, out of the back of our van from me.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whole show influenced him a lot, not just DRI, but yeah, I think he said in there that he was watching us and then he wanted to go start playing drums in case our drummer ever broke his arm, which was Eric, and that he'd be able to jump up there and take over for him. And he's played with so many different bands just sitting in. He'd probably like to get in there with DRI a little bit, It wouldn't surprise me. Let his dream come true, play a show with us like he does with other bands.
Yeah. I respect his ethic and his whole career. I like Foo Fighters, but mom had Nevermind, Nirvana's
Right.
Nevermind growing up, so that's how I know him. Did you guys ever play with the earlier grunge bands like during the 90s or anything like that in that scene?
Not really. I think Mudhoney once at a festival or something, and that was about it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was real separate.
Sure.
It's one of the reasons why all the thrash bands in the 90s started doing so poorly, I think, because grunge became so popular and all the fans that would normally be listening to thrash just kind of went over to that side. Even Slayer wasn't doing that great at the time. Metallica did okay, I guess.
Yeah,
They're Metallica.
they switched up a little bit with their
A
songs and
lot of
cut
bands,
their hair.
yeah, a lot of bands broke up or got dumped by their labels at that time. Most of those bands are back together again now that grunge has gone down and thrash is back.
Um, do you recall any hesitancy or lack of a better term from anyone in your camp or other bands in your genre to play with grunge bands? Like, did you like grunge? Would you have objected to playing with them in the day, or?
No, I wouldn't have objected at all. It just never really came around like that.
Gotcha.
I don't think we ever had any offers.
Okay. All right on, right on.
I know I've seen singer Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. I've seen him wearing a DRI shirt. So I'm pretty
Um,
sure the shows that we used to play going through Seattle and Portland and all that, we influenced a few people.
um, I believe it. Yeah, I
Not
love Pearl
necessarily to play
Jam.
grunge, but just to play.
Well, yeah. The going to the show and getting the energy from that, yeah, so to speak. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, Pearl Jam is probably my favorite grunge band. Uh, Quick question: you see this 1984 poster behind me?
Yeah.
Was that just one show? I've been told this, but was that just one show or a few?
What does it say? I can't read it.
Um, Welcome to 1980. I'll see if I can get closer. Welcome to 1984, Dead Kennedys, Butthole Surfers.
Does it have DRI?
Oh no.
Oh, no, I think that was just one show, as far as I know.
Okay. I was gonna ask too if you guys played that because I thought it was more than a couple shows. Anyway, tangents. Um,
We have played a lot of times with, or it seems like a lot of times with Dead Kennedys. I remember every one of them very well. But I met the guitar player recently, I think last year, and he'd never even heard of us, really. You know what I mean? I told him we played with him a bunch of times. He's like,
oh,
I don't know. And that's how it is when you're a real big band and you're not into these smaller bands that are open. You just don't remember all of them.
sure, all the names over
But
the years.
but we had to headline over the Dead Kennedys twice, each time for a different reason, which was tough on us because they're so popular. But I guess we had to kind of up our game. But I mentioned to him those two times, he still didn't remember.
Yeah, like you said, it just all those acts. I'm sure it's hard to remember. They say you have like you can only remember well a certain number of people strongly. Like that's
Right.
supposed to be like 100 people, and then ah, it's a bit of a tangent. Sorry, but there's a theory with that, like that you have a certain amount of people that you can remember strongly of family.
Well, and you mainly remember, like, if you're opening for some band that's your heroes, you're going to remember every second when you met them, what you talked about, their entire show and everything, what happened afterwards. You're going to remember all that, but they're not going to remember anything about you. You're just some guy opening. And same with the Dead Kennedys, probably when they opened for bigger bands at some point, they probably remember that. They don't remember every single local opener that came up and blabbed in their ear for a minute over loud PA music.
Okay.
I know I
So
don't remember all the bands that opened for us, and there's a lot of them that will tell me, you know, yeah, we smoked a joint, after the show in 1986, and you remember that? And it's like, oh yeah, I remember that perfectly.
well, when they say smoke a joint, you're already kind of running up the hill. Uh, that hits my memory is my point when I smoke a joint. Like
Right. Well, I'm sure there was a certain time in my life where I remembered every show that we did, and now I cannot remember them all. I see a flyer and I'm like, I guess I was there. We must have played that.
yeah, I mean the names right
We
here.
did like
Yeah.
100. We did like 124 shows just this year.
Do you happen to know your record per tour? Like biggest, like
I think there was one time in '88 or somewhere around there where we did like 250 shows or something in a year, something crazy like that. Because when you have a new album out, they work you. You know what I mean? You got to get out there and work your ass off until you come home and write a new album, put that out, and start all over again.
and in respect to that, man, because I pretty much you guys have never stopped touring, besides here and there. But looking at your tour dates from this 40th anniversary tour, I mean, there's some breaks in there, but you guys play almost every day. Just appreciating that is my point. Um, do you
Living
happen
the
to
dream.
know
What? Sorry, what was that?
Living the dream.
There you go. Do you happen to know your record for largest show by chance? Like most amount of people?
No, because a lot of the big shows we played, nobody ever seemed to know
Counting.
how many people there were. Just outdoor festivals that are just an endless sea of heads that go back as far as you can see. So, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands, I guess. And it's
Well,
weird that they're all watching you. You know what I mean? It's like
oh, I couldn't
everybody's
imagine. I've
everybody's
been in those
watching.
crowds, but not the other way around.
It's
Does
like,
it?
don't forget the words. Don't forget the words. They're all watching you.
Is it? I've heard it's different from a festival show with that many people to club shows where you might have kind of a tunnel vision, lack of a better term. Like there's that many people, but maybe it's not as this is different. I'm sure, right? Um,
Yeah, for a band like D.R.I, the place to see us, I'd say, would be a club show where there's no barricade and all that. People stage diving and thrashing and all that. But if you want to play to hundreds of thousands of people, you have to, you got to do it. There'll still be a pit and everything, people thrashing, even more people, but they're not going to be able to get close to the stage to dive off, or close to the band for that matter.
yeah. When you say close to the stage, dive off, stage diving, and all that. Have you ever heard of Aftershock Festival in California?
I think so.
Um, I appreciate that festival because they let you mosh and crowd surf, and I've been to quite a few concerts, so they don't let you do that anymore. And they
There's
manage it
always
pretty well, huh?
right problems with lawyers and
Oh yeah,
people getting hurt.
right. I mean, they. It seems like a lot of venues know the way around that in a way to just kind of put a warning sign up there, like, "Hey, we warned them, did our best." They have a barricade, of course, but they'll
Well,
stage
we
dive and they'll
DRI,
crowd surf.
yeah. I mean, we witnessed the whole transformation of the thrash scene. I mean, when there was originally just punk rock, and then there was metal, and the metal bands, big metal bands, played in these really nice rock clubs where they wouldn't let punk bands play there, and then punk bands played at punk rock clubs or halls, VFW halls, rented halls, and that was about it. And then when we crossed over, we started bringing our punk audience into these nice metal clubs. And it was a disaster in the beginning. I mean, it was just bad. They weren't used to it. They weren't used to the thrashing and the stage diving and all that. And then I noticed some of them, if we ever were invited back to those clubs, they would put in video systems. So videotaping everything going on the stage. So that way, their lawyers probably told them to do that, I guess. So they put up the signs, like you said, and then they have videos so that way they could have proof that who did it, or that it wasn't their fault, that they were trying to stop people and all that. And then
Yeah.
it kind of just continued like that for a while. But those rock clubs, yeah, they didn't really like our crowd very much. People sticking stickers on their wall, their nice clean walls, and graffitiing and all that stuff, wasn't good.
Yeah. But it's funny that it's the standard now, not only the sticker thing, but recording shows. If it really was, at least in the instance you're talking about, of maybe the lawyers are just covering their asses. I mean, you guys use old footage in later releases, right? Like CBGB's live releases, and like I think you guys got your first show recorded or something like that. Video from.
I know. I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
We've got Live at the Olympic Auditorium. We've got, I don't even see that one anymore. I don't know what happened with that. And then we got Live at the Ritz, Live at CBGB's. A few videos out there. I've got a lot of other videos. They're just not as professional. Because there were rock clubs that started they would videotape you, and then they would charge you if you wanted a copy of it. They'd just say, "Hey, $100, and we'll record you from like 4 different cameras angles, and we'll edit it for you and everything." And then here you go. At the end, they just hand you the VHS or CD,
Nice.
DVD or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't really see that anymore.
my band Wormhead, we've gotten a few shows where they recorded it, the audio, for us. That's about it. Otherwise, we have to bring the cameras.
That's how we got the CBGB's recording. The guy would record you with a cassette on the from the deck. You know, that was
Sure.
it. I mean, and you could hear in the video. I mean, in the there's an audio and a video version, but the audio version you hear him turn it over. He saw that it ended, and then he flipped the tape over and started it back again. So a pretty rudimentary, crude way to do it, but I mean, we still made a record out of it somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
And then somebody videotaped it too, so we just synced it up to the audio because the video of the camera wasn't as good as the one from the board from the house.
I hear you. Yeah, live audio looks difficult. I'm kind of a hobbyist audio engineer, and I've ran live sound a couple times. I hated it. It's a lot of there's a learning curve I guess I haven't gotten, but it's just hectic.
Yeah.
Respect to people that do that.
And we don't even bring a sound man with us anymore. We just deal with the house sound guy every time. A lot of times they are DRI fans, so they know how we should sound and all that, but it's hit or miss for sure.
Do you guys have a big crew this time around for this tour? Or is it just
we have no crew?
Okay, so
We used
you
to
and
have
the
a big
bands
crew.
kind of just keep things. You and the other bands kind of just keep things rolling.
Right.
Okay.
The opening band does the sound check for us because we're playing on their equipment anyway, so
Okay.
saves us time.
Yeah, you guys shared a drum set. I noticed when you played in Lakeport.
Everything, bass amps, guitar amps.
Right. Okay. Cool. Looking over my question list here. Were any for this tour so far, was there any setbacks or issues, crazy situations that you feel are okay to bring up, or anything come to mind?
We had to do the South American tour without Spike, so we got another guitar player who's a friend of ours. He had to learn the songs in like a week or something.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. So we still pulled the tour off. We just didn't play our normal hour and a half. We just played an hour. So wasn't quite as good, but we still were able to do the tour and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually got offered another show in South America coming up in March. Just one show though, opening for some bigger bands. I don't know if it's going to happen yet or not. We'll see. Long ways to go for one show.
Right.
To Chile, or I forgot, maybe Brazil, somewhere around there. Way down there.
Argentina or something. Yeah, I watched an interview with, I'm not sure on the guy's name, but it's Metal Remains is the YouTube channel, and it was down in South America somewhere. Might have been Central America, but yeah, they seem to love you guys down there in South America. I've over the years I've seen a lot of different documentaries and bands I like that go down there, and just the crowds seem to just be ecstatic, especially for.
Well, it's because they
era.
had some of those countries had dictators up until not too long ago, and they wouldn't even allow Western music in there or bands, come corrupt their youth or anything. And now they've let us come and corrupt them. So the people are super excited about it. I guess someday maybe they'll just get jaded, like other people. But for right now, yeah, it's pretty awesome. People like breaking into the shows, that sort of thing.
It's fresh to them. Two things come to mind since we're talking about South America. Have you been able to spend much time down there on a day off and check out school?
I've gone on vacation down there.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a Brazilian girlfriend, so I was going down there quite often.
Cool. Can you speak Portuguese?
No, not at all.
I can't either.
But I love the food down there, and it was just really good times on the beach and everything.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Beautiful down there. I plan on going one day to Bolivia and Chile to check out some of the Aztec structures and there's one place called um Tiwanaku and Puma
Don't know that
Punku.
one.
Yeah, they're ancient ruins, but they're it's one of those places like how do they build that? Because the precision on some of this stuff's just amazing, and they
Oh
can't
yeah,
date stone, but the estimates are ice age, which is amazing. Anyway,
yeah. We haven't got to do anything like that. Our schedule down there is just crazy because usually we're flying between countries every day. Every day, so that means going through immigration and customs. You
mhm,
know, twice I think,
every
and
day.
waiting in just line after line after line all day, and then your flight gets delayed or canceled, and you're just sitting around waiting and hoping to make it to the show. And there's really not a lot of time to go do other things. It sucks, and it would be expensive to stay extra days for that and all that.
Sure.
So I just go back on my own when I have time and I can relax. And but people think it's all glamorous on tour and everything. It's like, yeah, that it is for an hour and a half on stage, but all the rest of it's tiring.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I could tell, you guys work pretty freaking hard. um, Airports just as strict down there as the U.S. or less, more. Take off
Pretty
your
much the
shoes.
same. Yeah, pretty much the same.
You gotta take off your shoes.
Yeah, sometimes some countries.
Okay.
Rock band ZZ Lurk has released a new album, Gossamer. I highly recommend this album, songs like this one specifically. ZZ Lurk's new album, Gossamer, out now. Links below.
Now we'll go back to the posters for a second. Where is that one? There's one I have that has corrosion of conformity on there.
We toured with those guys a lot back in the day.
Ah, here we go.
We were both on Death Records, which was a subsidiary of Metal Blade.
I was going to ask you about Metal Blade too in a second here, actually. Yeah. So this was June 27th. Doesn't say the year.
Nobody ever put the year back then.
Yeah. It's early though. I at first I wasn't sure if it was corrosion of conformity because corrosion looks like commotion.
Yeah.
So like, wait, is that? um, but yeah, I couldn't. I'd love to see them at all, especially back then. I'm sure it was nuts. Um, one more here. Christmas Eve, and you guys played with Ribsy, Born to Kill, Rich Kids on LSD. Yeah, it's just cool stuff.
Yep. I sold a lot of my old flyers during the pandemic, and running out of money and all. Collectors came over and bought a lot of my stuff. But it's cool that I saved it that long.
Yeah, didn't some guys from Japan come over or
Yep.
something? Okay,
Yep. 2 guys,
bought some shirts or something.
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, Japan's interesting with they just eat up all that kind of stuff, and I like the audiophile scene over there. They still have what was that big record store?
Well, the Japanese guys have a store over there. I don't know what the store's called.
But you know what I mean. Just before the vinyl resurgence in the West, Japan never stopped. Listening to vinyl cassettes, built, messing with that technology. Sorry, tangent. Oh, so you kept a lot of that stuff. Did you and Spike? Does Spike do that too? Did one of you like have everything at one point, or just like did you
No,
guys
he
take
has
a
he
shirt?
has a bunch of stuff too.
Okay.
I told him he could sell a bunch, but he didn't want to sell any of his during the pandemic because one guy that bought a lot of mine said he's like, I'll drive up to California just to be able to go through his stuff and buy a bunch of stuff. But Spike said no. I still have too much stuff anyway. Just a pack rat, you know. Too
Yeah,
much DRI stuff.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I have stuff back here. So when you guys like had flyers made, shirts made, was it like you would take one and kind of keep it kind of situation? You had to wear this stuff, I'm sure, at times on
Yeah,
tour.
back then I don't think I was really trying to keep one of each. I do now, but back then I probably wasn't really thinking about it too much. But I did have a few. I sold some on eBay a long time ago, and then I sold the rest of the '80s shirts, all the rest of them when during the pandemic, which were mostly used, you know, not brand new ones.
I have to look up the names. I won't do it right now, but I follow this guy on Instagram, and all he does is sell vintage band shirts from 70s till early 2000s. He's got some Cannibal Corpse shirts, some different thrash metal shirts, and in great shape. They're cracked a little bit, but like no one pretty much wore them. And then he sells ones that are worn, and people just love them. It's pretty cool. He's got professional photos of all these used shirts, and it's kind of a trip.
Oh yeah.
So I had a question about Metal Blade. So the album you guys put out with them was it crossover or was it?
Oh, we put out several with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we put out Dealing With It first, and then Crossover, Four of a Kind, Thrash Zone, and I think that was it. Yeah.
Did you ever meet or speak to Brian Slagle?
Oh yeah, bunch of times.
Okay. Um, I don't know. I find that guy interesting just because he's always run the label. Anything I see online of the bands on the label making their album, he's there, bald head and everything. Hey, we're gonna take a break real quick, okay?
Do you like breakdowns? Do you like guitar riffs? Do you like screams? I'm Immortal, and if you do, I have the song for you. Wage Slave, out now.
What was my question about Metal Blade? I think I just want to talk about Brian Slagle. Forgive me if I'm Slagle. Sorry, Brian, got your name wrong. Anything come to mind with him or Metal Blade? Anything you want to talk about?
No, I mean it was good. I guess that we had they had a lot of money and push and everything at a time when we needed it, and helped us get advertising out there and all that stuff. So it really helped us being on Metal Blade for a little while anyway.
Sure. Well, that's cool. Forgive me if I got this wrong. Was that around the time? Yeah, that was around the time you guys went on like Headbangers Ball was 1990, right?
Don't know.
That's what this says. I don't know. I'm not sure, but the Beavis and Butthead thing was around then too.
Right.
So they yeah, if anyone's interested, check out the Beavis and Butthead episode where D.R.I is on there. I think it's Acid Rain, the Acid Rain video. And
yeah, thankfully they liked us. Could have been bad if they didn't.
Did you like Beavis and Butthead initially, or was that a surprise?
Oh, yeah. I think it's great.
I had like as a kid, it was towards I call it the end of MTV. It's still going now.
It was mostly rap and it's kind of just got more towards rap and hip hop, it seems, and then it just went to reality TV and
yeah, right for a little while. Yeah, you're right. So, would that interrupt you?
No, it's just that it seemed like that. I heard something about, I don't know why it went like that, but I heard that it was because the record companies wanted to start getting money from MTV for the plays and then MTV was like, well, we're helping the bands by just playing your stuff, like almost as if we should be paying them to play it, So then I guess MTV probably just said, well, fuck it then. We won't play any of that shit anymore.
For
Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. That's what I heard.
a little while, there was MTV2. There's like a couple channels, at least on cable where I live, there's a couple channels away from MTV. And they still kept playing videos of, variety. More of the heavier stuff, metal stuff, whatever, was like at 12 a.m. But yeah, the regular.
Well, even with the regular MTV, it was kind of like that too.
Right.
I think with the harder stuff was late, but it helped. I mean, I still talk to people today that said they first heard DRI on MTV, watched one of our videos, and then they liked it, and then they went and buy the record and go to the show and all that. So it definitely helped advertise.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I saw an interview with Ozzy Osbourne the other day, and he talked about when the Osbournes came on MTV, debuted there. That was apparently he saw the shift into the reality TV thing because it was such a big hit. Part of it was because of the Osbournes. How he saw it anyway. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, the Beavis and Butthead thing was pretty funny. So Kurt Brecht is also an author, and I know I was told you're not, you don't have anything printed right now. I know you've published a few books. So everything's pretty much, you buy the book. If you want to find one of your books, it's used on eBay kind of situation, right?
Right. I got a company that said they're going to restart repressing my books, but we'll see.
Okay. Would they kind of store them for you too in like a warehouse, how like Amazon does that, or you know what I mean?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they'll be selling them. They'll be selling them on their own, but I don't think they're planning on making so many.
Okay.
In the beginning, I told them I'll probably be your best customer. I'll be buying them because I can sell them at the shows.
Yeah. 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 I asked that because, it's either they keep them stocked at their place or at your place. Yeah, one thing, Crimson Media Group is my whole thing here, my company there. I want to eventually publish books and stuff. That's how I kind of started doing it, and then I started this podcast, and I published a little bit of music for another artist. His name is D'Artagnan. This was a couple years ago, but anyway, I find that really interesting that you self-published, or okay, my mom's got a copy of this one, Notes from the Nest.
Right. Well, once I learned how to do it and started my own company, I got my own ISBN numbers and all that kind of stuff that you need to have a book company. Then I was just doing it. I even put books out for some other people, but I just, after a while, I just had so many books in my house, so many boxes and all that I just quit printing them anymore. But I would like to get them reprinted. Now I got a little more room, larger house or whatever.
Cool. Yeah, the audiobook version of, at least I've seen like 2 of your books on here that have an audio book version, and this is on YouTube for those who want to look it up. Notes from the Nest by Kurt Brecht.
Yeah, it's just me and on my computer talking into the old microphone.
Yeah, hey, it
wasn't in a real studio or anything, but instead of paying somebody else to do it, I might as well do it myself.
Yeah, a lot of people appreciate that with audiobooks if you actually do it yourself, unless it's like a fiction, then you want the theatrical thing.
Right.
There's actually an idea I'm kind of working on, I'm kind of writing because audiobooks are super popular, of course, and now Spotify has audiobooks. They've gotten some licenses for that. And what I've seen become popular also in parallel is podcasts that are just these written out theatrical fiction stories, and they'll put Foley in there,
Oh yeah, I
footstep
listened to
sounds
some
and
of
all that.
those. The
Yeah,
White Vault is one of them. And some
yeah,
of them, they don't come out very often because it takes so much work. They got people from all these different countries with different English accents and Scandinavian and Americans and Japanese, and everybody's all in there. And it takes a lot of, like you said, Foley work and all that stuff. Pretty amazing stuff. I like that myself.
yeah. I've been hearing about it more and more, especially when COVID was going on, the lockdowns and all that. I think it was uh I'm thinking of a comedian. He was in Wayne's World. He was the blonde guy, not Mike Myers, but uh I'll look up his name. Anyway, this his name's Harvey or something. Anyway, this comedian, he just started writing in it stuff, writing these stories with his family, and his family just recorded all these, stories. And it's not the whole genre we're talking about. It's not huge right now, but I can see it getting more popular. Audiobooks are so easy to consume.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, a lot of actors and comedians and all that are doing their own podcasts now. Noticed.
right. Yeah. There's been a huge movement to Austin of comedians, and they all started podcasts down there. I actually want to go down there and see some comedy shows with my cousin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it just seems like it's a place to go and do that, because lockdowns in California, especially Los Angeles, were so heavy they couldn't work, so they went over to Texas because you guys like freedom. So it worked out. But anyway, so yeah, the Notes from the Nest was a good one. Mom let me read that years ago. I don't remember what was written in the back, but I found it pretty interesting, because you were homeless in San Francisco, right? That was around that time, or am I mixing up that?
Right.
If you were laying in you were sleeping in that tree that it seemed like you had the best sleep of your life in the tree some days.
Yep. Definitely. Really nice up there.
Yeah, very cool. Um, you have I found a snapping turtle. Your spoken, I'll call it a spoken word.
Oh yeah, on YouTube.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
You mentioned RKL, the bass player. I believe it's the bass player of RKL, Buried Alive. He's in RKL. I think he plays bass. But he recorded that snapping turtle. That was at his house, his parents' house, way back in the day when D.R.I first started.
what made you
That was
decide
just
to
he
put
was
all
just
those?
banging on pots and pans and stuff while I was reading a bunch of different lyrics, just random lyrics out of my notebook.
So that those sounds weren't planned? Because I was going to ask, was
No, I wasn't planned. He was just into that kind of recording anything, you know what I mean? One of those audio files or whatever that
sure.
just want to record anything interesting. And I think he's still like that. But yeah, I just started reading the stuff, and none of it went together, but it was just flowing. And he was just there were several people there just banging and making noise.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and say when I listened to it, I understood and connected with everything, but I'll say it grabbed my attention. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I liked how it sounded. I liked, it was, I found it very interesting. And it's my point.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool too. And the best part is at the very end, it's just rambling on about all this stuff, and at the very last thing, it just said "snapping turtle," and that's the end.
Yeah. And again, the background noises, I honestly thought that was pretty freaking sick. Like I've heard that kind of thing in other spoken word poetry recordings. I didn't know if it was something you did on purpose because it's like a genre type move there, but okay. So it just happened that way. Cool.
RKL's back together now too. Rich Kids on LSD.
I'm aware of them. I'm sure
Yeah.
on like a playlist I've heard them before.
The singer died some time ago, but they got another guy singing now, so it should be pretty cool.
Right on. Maybe you guys would do a show together or something.
Probably will.
All right. Cool. Go back to my questions. You ever been starstruck? Like fangirl
Yeah,
kind of thing? Like, whoa.
definitely. I'm starstruck though. I don't talk to them. I just clam up and too scared to say anything or whatever, and that's about
You
it.
don't want to bother them either,
Right.
right?
So I'm not like a fanboy, oh, blah, 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 ask them a million questions or anything, usually. I just panic.
Right. That's what I do, just but every day, every every second. When I saw the Misfits in Oakland, oh sorry, Doyle, the guitar player, I saw his band in Sacramento. They played I have it listed right here because you guys played the same place in Roseville, and that's right here. Anyway, I was kind of starstruck by him because I really love the Misfits, the original Misfits, and that was a trip. I didn't talk to him or anything, but I almost
Well,
got
that was
to
the same
interview
thing.
him.
I was in a small room with all of them in their makeup, and I didn't say a word. I didn't introduce myself or anything. And I had questions I wanted to ask them and everything, but I just thought maybe they'd be stupid questions. So I just kept my trap shut.
Oh, okay. I know you guys played with the Jerry only version of the Misfits. Are you talking about?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, that's still pretty cool. So the venue I was thinking about where I saw Doyle's solo band was the Goldfield in Sacramento. Very
Yep.
small
We
club.
played there twice.
Oh, you guys played the larger one. You played in Roseville. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, there's two of them. Sorry, there's one in downtown and one in Roseville. Yeah,
Gotcha.
very cool. But yeah, that's one. I almost got to interview him, but it was during COVID. He was only doing it by the phone. All the other interviews online were just horrible in quality, and just you can just tell he was irritated. And yeah. The Zoom thing is convenient, but one day I'd like to actually go visit people to interview them. Enough about me. I have glasses on, but I can't see. So, who's in the band right now? It's you, Spike Cassidy, and
Rob Rampy on drums.
Okay.
Greg Orr, bass player.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I brought that up because there's a lot of stuff online that still has Harold O as your bass player. And I found one thing that said the current lineup. I couldn't find it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be usually when we change somebody out, it'll be years later. They're still using pictures from, 5 years, 10 years before with some other guy. Nothing you could do about it.
Right. I hear you. But yeah, I want to make sure I got their names in. Yeah, the bass player and the drummer. If you guys are listening, you guys freaking kicked ass when I saw you guys play. Had a great time.
Yeah, we're pretty tight when we've been playing a lot. You're playing every day together. A lot of it depends on the sound, though, too. If you can't hear each other on stage for some reason, then it sounds loose to us, like not very tight. But I don't know. You can't really tell what it sounds like out in the audience when you're on stage.
Yeah, some audience members. It's funny when they have a different perspective, and you're up there being super critical of yourself and how you did, but they had a blast.
Yeah, fans will tell it. I'll be like, yeah, we made a few mistakes, and they're like, yeah, we heard that, but it doesn't matter. It's like it's just the sound of you guys, and I could never really understand that until I had lost my voice a while back when I was on tour. So I had to have a few nights off where I couldn't sing, but I was still selling merchandise because I wasn't sick. I just had laryngitis or something. I didn't feel sick. I just couldn't talk.
I think that was just
And
fatigue.
I finally heard what they mean. It's the sound of them playing sounding so killer, just the tone and everything. And I heard them make a few mistakes like we always do, humans. And it didn't matter. I understood finally what they were talking about. Like you hear the mistake, but you forgive it immediately. It's like it's just
You have to,
not a
yeah.
big deal. It's still the sound of the band. It's not a big deal. Like we beat ourselves up over it, but there's no reason to do that really.
Right on. So talking about your voice, so I saw you smoke a cigar. I smoke cigars too sometimes. My dad's been he's in the cigars. He's been letting me try some lately. So, do you smoke during tour? Is there any rules you have to keep your voice?
No, I do smoke during the tour, but not as much just because there's not as really any time to. When I'm at home, I'm on like not vacation, but I've got a hell of a lot more time on my hands,
Yeah,
a lot more relaxing time.
sure. Not a really not as much worry about
Well, like
strange.
on tour, you're either in a hotel room, you can't smoke in there, or traveling in a rental van, can't smoke in there. Usually can't smoke in the club where you're playing.
Right.
When are you going to smoke? It's like, after you're done playing and finish selling merch and pack it up, and then you got a few minutes before you get in the van and go to the hotel again. So a few times like that, you get a chance to smoke a little bit.
Do you think it's a good idea that you smoke less during tour for your voice or
I don't think it really matters.
okay. Yeah, I've met a few singers that they do it and it actually loosens them up in a way mentally and they can get a grasp of areas. I don't know. I only smoke cigars once in a while. I don't sing.
Yeah. James Hetfield from Metallica, I see he smokes cigars now.
Yeah,
He'll smoke right before he goes on stage. So yeah, it might be to loosen him up a little bit. He doesn't seem to be worried about his voice.
I've
So,
noticed that too. I watched a lot of their concert videos from this last tour on YouTube. Um, I just gotta say, I like their stage, but it's kind of weird. It's kind of I don't know if you've seen it. It's kind of a donut stage. There's a pit in the middle.
yeah, I was in there.
Okay.
I got to go in there one time. They were playing opening. They were opening for Guns N' Roses in Oakland, California, and yeah, I got a pass to go in there, and that was at the time when James Hetfield, I think he wasn't playing guitar. He had burned his arm,
Right.
if I
Okay.
remember correctly.
That's
And he handed me
right. Yeah.
he put the microphone down to sing, in some certain part, and I just froze. I wasn't expecting it or anything, and I probably knew the words to it. I really don't even remember what it was, but I just froze. And he saw, I wasn't going to do it, and took the mic back after a second.
Oh, okay. Oof.
Froze up. Yeah,
I hear you.
I blew it.
Hey, you got closer to this in the crowd than I did. I was in nosebleeds in Sacramento in like 2019. Still was a great show, but man, it was up there. But you're right. I my favorite band's Guns N' Roses, so I know about that tour, and that one went pretty bad with the riots and the burn of hand.
Right. I think Metallica says it was a terrible idea. Like they thought it was a great idea
Sure.
because it was like the two biggest bands at the time that were both on fire and everything.
Right.
But they were both doing great on their own. They really didn't need to tour together. So yeah, it ended up being. I think we waited for it seemed like hours after Metallica played before Guns N' Roses finally came out and played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were kind of notorious for that, I think.
Oh yeah.
Making the fans wait.
Yeah, and they're my favorite band. It sucks because they hadn't done that in years and years. This reunion tour they've been on, it happened like one time. But Aftershock, I talked about it earlier. I went and saw them. They did a show in October, and they were half an hour late. And I was like, oh, I couldn't imagine being them that stage was having problems. I'm sure it was the stage because it was cutting out for all these other bands. But at one point the crowd was booing them, and there's thousands of people. I couldn't imagine being booed that much before you even start playing. Like, and anyway. Otherwise they don't really do that anymore. I've seen them a couple times in a reunion show, and it was a great show. Anyway,
Yeah, I think they had to sign some contract saying they wouldn't do that shit anymore if they were going to be touring again.
I mean, if I was a venue, I'd get that worked out if I was having them on. Yeah, just because the history. They seem to have the attitude of we don't want to cause issues anymore. I don't know. Can't speak for them.
They grew up. Imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole time I was waiting in the crowd before everyone was starting to get antsy. Everyone was talking about, I wonder if they're going to show up. And that happens. It happened a lot. The concert I went to before when they showed up on time. Anyway. Oh, well, I'm thinking about it. There's a venue somewhere in Texas. It's called Danzig's House.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Okay, I've seen it in like a couple documentaries over the years. It was like it seemed kind of an underground venue. I don't think they were turning anyone away, but anyway, no problem. So what do you have this month off from touring?
Yeah, I actually have a gig. I have a gig the 28th of this month. They offered for me to come to it's like a heavy metal swap meet that they have once a month or so, and they want me to be like the guest of honor. They're paying me to be there, and then I get to sell stuff too. And they give me they give me some money and free food and free drinks. So it's my first time I ever had a paid, appearance, I guess, besides being in the band. So it's pretty cool.
Heck yeah, man. That's
looking forward to it.
I've heard of that.
Hopefully it's not too cold because I think it's outside. It's at a place. It's a hot dog restaurant. From what I've been there once, from what I remember, imagine this. It's like a fancy hot dog place. So they've got like rabbit meat hot dogs and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, and then they want D.R.I to play there. I think it's just outside. From what I remember, you eat outside.
I'll look it up and I'll share the flyer. I know where you're talking about. Doyle's gonna be there too, the Misfits guitar player.
Not when I'm there, right?
I'm not sure. I think it's a couple days. I'll
in Houston.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in. Yeah, that's what the flyer I saw was it was in Texas. So.
It's called it's the Moon something Cafe, like Moon Tower Cafe or something. I don't remember. It has moon in there.
That's all you need to Google,
Right. So I'll be there on the 28th. It's a Sunday during the day for a few hours, 4 hours or something like that. I go sometimes. They have a punk rock flea market and then they have a heavy metal swap meet. So I've been to both of them selling stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. Everything checks out. I'll be sure to share all the info when I'm editing the flyer and everything. I mean, very cool, dude. I don't know. Sorry, dead air. Rain needs to catch up here. Man, you give me some good stuff, dude. I really appreciate it. I think it's good stuff. Yeah. Oh, before I forget, earlier we were talking about Kurt's I call it spoken word recording Snapping Turtle. The picture of you is in a line with your green jacket.
Right.
And I don't know, Mom brought that up like when we went and saw D.R.I in Lakeport.
Trench coat.
Yeah, you used to have that thing all the time. And
well, in San Francisco, I grew up in Houston, so the weather, you have a certain weather here. San Francisco was totally different. and it would seem like it would get cold every night. It might be hot during the day, sunny and warm or whatever, but at night it still got cold. And I never knew where I was going to end up at night. So the trench coat was great, and it had an inside lining that would unbutton. So if it was, you could take that out and it would be a cooler jacket. Or during the, if you had to sleep outside, you could take the lining off, wrap that around your feet area, and then have the jacket be like covering you the rest of your body or whatever. So all in all, it worked out really well.
Trusty jacket, yeah.
For that climate, San Francisco for sure.
Yeah, Mom just mentioned that she remembered that jacket. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
She thought it was funny. But yeah, that sounds like what you need. Yeah, I grew up here in Lake County, and when I was younger in the Bay Area, and it's always colder in San Francisco. No matter where you are, an hour, 2, 3 hours away, it's completely different there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But okay. I'm just looking over my question list for so you guys, your current record label is Beer City, right? They are a label.
Beer City Skateboards and Records. Yep.
Right. And guys, I invite you to check it out. D.R.I has pretty much all their merch comes out of Beer City. Is that right, Kurt?
Yeah, I was just talking to the owner today. We're printing up some new stuff, crossover shirts, blue crossover shirts and stuff like that. So we're always adding new things all the time there.
Very cool. Yeah. And all your with your music, all the vinyl and CDs are out of there too, the repressings. Am I right?
Yep.
Cool.
They put out our last 7-inch, the newest record we have out some years ago. But Wait, There's More, it's called. It's just a 7-inch record. So they put that out, and then they re-released a bunch of stuff as well.
Very cool. And I gotta say, the shows I've been to, concerts, festivals, whatever, merchandise has always been expensive, and especially now, but you guys' stuff isn't that unreasonable. Like, you have hoodies starting at $25. Stickers and patches are pretty damn cheap. Look at it up here. It's like $4, some of them. Vinyl's pretty, it's around $20, $25. I think that's really freaking good, I think.
Yeah, we try to keep the prices down on tour as well.
I like it. Yeah, you had those cool yellow beanies with your logo on there. That, I don't know, that one caught my eye. But yeah, hey, everyone, Beer City Records. Then the skate decks are available on there too.
Oh yeah, all
MDCs.
Different shapes.
Sorry.
Yeah, all different shapes. They have different shapes of skateboards decks that they sell of DRI. Yeah, they got MDC. They got all kinds of killer Verbal Abuse. A lot of good bands, I think, on his label.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like a solid operation. You also selling signed stuff. That's cool. Where are you? I went off screen. Okay. Yeah, skateboarders love you guys. What was it? Like video game Skate 2? You're on the soundtrack, one of the skate games. One of them.
There's other video games also I can't think of right now. Tony Hawk.
Right.
I can't remember the name of the game though. American Wasteland.
Yeah.
I think it was called American Wasteland, but we were on that one too.
I always had to go to a friend's house to play those games. I had heard you guys on there. I didn't realize it at the time, but playing it, would have had to. So
that also helps advertise for DRI, because I meet people that said they heard us on the video game, and then they really liked it, and then they started getting into DRI. So whatever it takes, every little bit helps, I guess.
Yeah, it's totally relevant move, because there's dudes my age that grew up playing those games that are also skateboarders. I'm not a skateboarder, but I knew skateboarders. So, you guys have made your rounds, so to speak, or something like that. So yeah, Beer City, and just to confirm something. So, But Wait, There's More, the EP you guys put out. It's 3 new songs and a couple, or are they all new
Older
songs?
ones, yeah, remakes.
Cool. That's it. I just wanted to make sure that was correct. Very cool. So you had the swap meet thing coming up, and Texas there, and okay. Come on, computer. All right, there you go. Okay. I know I'm gonna have to edit out some dead air already. Dang it! All right, I'm keeping it together. All right. Oh, okay. Here's some. We'll start wrapping it up, but here's some like just some funny, I thought funny questions. So you're the singer of DRI. With all due respect to the other players, if you had to choose one other way, form of music and let's say you wanted to choose an instrument to play, like if you were able to switch for a day, would you be drummer, guitar player, banjo player?
I don't know how to play any of those instruments, but I don't know.
I'd be the singer for a day.
Yeah.
First, I appreciate that though. Thanks. Don't want to. I thought about that. Wrote it down. I was like, oh, wonder if he says drummer, will the bass player get mad? But oh, thanks. What do you have an opinion on streaming services right now? Like there's a resurgence in physical media with vinyl and all that, and what's interesting about streaming is, if at least in the West, most people who have the ability to listen to music on there do it because it's free, and but there is a whole issue with not being paid enough. Do you have any thoughts on streaming? Like, you think it's good, bad?
I mean, I think I don't know how much it's hurt our record sales or anything. But like if there's a song I want to look up and listen to, like a song I heard, I don't have the record or whatever, I just go on YouTube and watch it, listen to it on there. We get some checks for a few cents from Amazon, and what's the other one? Pandora, I think.
Okay.
A few of them, they give us, $10 a year or something like that. Maybe we just don't have a lot of streams.
It's and there's a lot of streaming services too. Like, to get ready for this,
I'll do an interview.
Hello. I was checking you guys out on YouTube and Spotify, just kind of getting the headspace. And it's a good time to mention, side of tangent. So everyone, at the end of this episode, if you listen to me on Spotify or Tidal, there will be a DRI song at the end. They get paid. You get paid for that because I publish through Spotify. And so I can do that, but only on Spotify's thing. So I'll edit in a song at the end if anyone wants to check that out.
Right.
Well, anyway, that tripped me out about streaming services is, growing up, I may or may not have downloaded music in various ways. I can make 1,000 excuses, mostly no money. Anyway, allegedly did it. That's kind of disappeared in certain ways because streaming is so available and it's free. And that disappeared overnight. And in other countries, they still download stuff. But otherwise, if you have a phone, and a good internet connection, you can just have it running. It's a trip, and it's like you said, if you want to find a specific song, you have this library available, at any time. It's hard to, yeah, it's very cool. It makes total sense why everyone can't help but use it.
Right.
And
But we can still make money live, even if you don't get as much money from record sales anymore and stuff like that. And they hardly pay you 0.001 cent or something, for
yeah,
for each time somebody watches it on YouTube or something. But that's why we're out there touring all the time, because the money's out there to survive for a band like ours, but you got to go out there and get it. You can't just sit at home and wait for checks to roll in.
fair enough.
And luckily we like traveling and playing live and everything. Some bands probably don't like it that much, homebodies or whatever, or they want to be home writing music or whatever. I don't care, but we like being out there touring, meeting the fans and hanging out.
Good, cool. Yeah, again.
And we play every little place, like, where you saw us play. Some bands that go through, even bands that I know, when they play the West Coast, they might just do like 4 or 5 shows, San Diego, LA, San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle, something like that.
Right.
And we spend 3 weeks to play every little place. We play those, but we play every little place in between too, so people don't have to travel so far. And I'd do the West Coast twice a year if I could.
Heck yeah. And in Lakeport where you played, we'll have you guys again. If you want to play there, we're not gonna fight you on it.
I just heard Sticky Luch Productions is finished though. They were the ones that put the show on, but it was a collaboration between the two guys. So they're both still going to do stuff separately, but they've broken up their partnership for some reason.
Okay. Let's take a break on that note. This episode of the Crimson Podcast is brought to you by Brewster's Customs, custom car upholstery. From classic cars to your more modern vehicles. Bill at Brewster's Customs can redo, update, or revamp the inside of your vehicle's interior and more. From the headboard to the dash, right down to the floor and trunk, Brewster's could have your vehicle's interior dreams realized. Using quality materials and years of experience, Bill at Brewster's started out prepping parachutes and rigs for Navy fighter pilots. After that, he took the skills he learned and tackled automobiles. Not long ago, I was in the Brewster's workshop and found out he worked on a 1936 Ford Phantom, owned by FDR, the former president of the United States. This vehicle's back seat was enlarged to fit the former president, as he couldn't actually drive on account of his polio condition. What else? I got to see Bill work on a 1939 Cadillac, from the spare tire cover to the roll cage covers. Beautiful work. This machine took part in a race from Paris, France to Peking, China. The Cadillac had a map of this very journey on its trunk depicting the endeavor. What else? How about a 1952 Bentley, which won second in Best of Show in 2014 at the infamous Concord Day Elegance Car Show in Pebble Beach, California. Heck, a 1 of 5 1941 Chrysler Newport Indianapolis 500 pacemaker by LeBron. The red seats give it away. Richer men than you have trusted Bill in the past. So give the Brewster a call at 916-904-4095 or look him up on Instagram at Brewster's Customs, all lowercase. BREWSTERSCUTOMS, and get your dream car finished off. Thank you.
Well, I just saw it the other day, but no, they said there's no problem between the guys or anything. They're just both doing the same thing, but separately, or they each have other things going on. Nothing bad.
Cool. That's good. Yeah. Luch didn't mention it when he has a taqueria in Lakeport. I stopped by there to eat and asked him to wish me luck when I'm interviewing you. He was all like stoked about it. He told me, Luch thought you were Spike at one point during the show. You told him, no, I'm not Spike.
I get that all the time.
So you know Brian Sticky from shows before then.
Oh yeah, he's done a bunch of our shows.
Okay. I know you guys played Ukiah in the past. Like you try to do it every tour pretty much, it seems like. Mom and I missed out on seeing you guys there quite a few times. She's wanted me to see D.R.I for forever. And but yes, Brian Sticky, he knows what he's doing. You know, at least like the shows him and Luch have put on in Lake County have been some of the best shows that have been around there for years. We used to have Canocte Harbor, and you know, you get acts like Styx there, Kiss, Weird Al Yankovic.
Wow.
It was my first
Crazy.
concert. And more than that, uh, a lot of blues acts, a lot of good stuff. War played there. Anyway, that shut down when I was a kid, and we have some really good reggae concerts at the casinos, but that's still kind of new. But when Brian and Luch, at least when I noticed, it was them doing their thing. They, you know, when they started doing concerts, it's just the scene picked up. Before you guys came around in October, that past summer, it was Blind Illusion and Hyrax and a whole bunch of bands. They did a show at the local biker club outside. Freaking ruled. Yeah.
Yeah. The local promoters are like the unseen heroes. You know what I mean? That most kids don't even know who they are or could care less of who brought the bands there. But those are the ones that actually build the scene and all that, you know, and making the flyers, putting out the flyers, you know, talking to the bands, bringing them, losing money sometimes. And once they quit doing it, sometimes those scenes will just dissolve and that's it. There is nothing else until hopefully somebody else comes around. If it's a big city, yeah, there's plenty of promoters out there, but a smaller town like where you live,
yeah,
you know, if they stop doing it, there just might not be any more shows.
Exactly. And what I appreciate about their shows that Brian Sticky and Luch put on, they love doing it. It's a passion, the intention's there, and they're very honest, like hardworking dudes. They put their own time into it, so like that translates, I think, to the crowds, you know, who at least know of them and the shows they put on. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about them, for me anyway. We'll wrap it up here in a second. Dead air.
Free. This June 15th, 2024, Ukiah, California, the Redwood Metal Fest, a free rock and metal concert, will be held at Alex Thomas Plaza, Ukiah, California. Bands like Schizo, A Waltz in Violence, and 14 more bands will be there to give you a good time. That's right, it's free. Redwood Metal Fest, free. Thank you.
Any band come to mind that you still want to, that you haven't played with, that you really want to? I know it's kind of a broad question, but
Well, Bad Religion is a band I've never seen, and that's the one in South America that we possibly, I don't know yet, but we might get on that show. Just one-off show down in South America. So that would be cool. Be able to see them for free.
yeah, that blows my
Open
mind.
for
You guys
them.
haven't played with them. I've seen them.
I
They're
know.
freaking great. Very good.
Yeah.
Right on. And oh, sorry, something popped up. Well, all right. Well, hey, Kurt, I really appreciate your time here. And
I
yeah,
gotta clean off my poker table, get ready for the people to come over here.
no, it's about to be a happening at your place, man. Well, hey, I hope you have fun at your game. Don't lose too much money. So D.R.I has shows in Australia. Let me bring up the list right now. Okay, 4 shows in Australia, right? 1 at the Basement, Crowbar, the Zoo, Max Watts. February 21st through the 24th, right? Sounds right? Or you can plug in.
Well, there's more shows than that.
Okay.
There's the New Zealand too.
Oh, I was gonna mention. Okay, and then 2 New Zealand. Yeah, the Valhalla and the Whammy Bar, 27th and 28th. Auckland, New Zealand. Okay. Do you usually play those two cities, Wellington and Auckland?
I can't remember. I know we did at least one before, but I can't remember if we did both or not. I don't know.
Okay.
It's kind of like South America, a lot of flying around. I think we'd fly show to show most of the time. So we'd spend most of our time in airports, not chasing kangaroos around, or so we'd spend most of our time in airports, not chasing kangaroos around or hugging koala bears, but we've done that too.
Okay. I hear kangaroos can actually be pretty freaking dangerous, and they can
Yeah,
get
there was
tall as
where
hell.
we went, they had the mean ones on the other side of the fence. They were a certain type, the big red ones. They said you
Okay.
don't want to fuck with those, but the ones where we were walking around were nice.
I
You could
heard
just
it's
lay down. You could just lay down next to them, chill with them. They didn't care.
nice. I'd love to do that. Freaking yeah, I heard a story. Someone I forget it was a podcast or someone I was talking to be honest, but they went there. They went to this guy's backyard, a friend of theirs, and he thought it was a statue of a kangaroo. And this thing's like 7, 8 feet tall. I had no idea they get that tall, and it's just being super still. It wasn't a statue. And then his friend runs out like, dude, get the fuck away from that thing. It's gonna kill you. And then he just backs up. I had no idea they got that tall. That's amazing. Anyway,
They eat them too.
yeah, I bet they're like they're everywhere. There, I hear they have to keep them the
Yeah, you can
population
get
down
you can
somewhat.
eat wallabies and kangaroo steaks and burgers and all that stuff.
Have you ever tried that? Pretty good, or does it
Yeah,
taste like
looking
anything?
forward to it. I'd say it tastes. I don't know. It tasted a little peppery, like black peppery pepper on there. Maybe they just had a lot of black pepper on
Or
it. I
they
don't
did
know.
or something. Okay.
That's what it tastes like to me.
Okay. Fair
Like
enough.
beef, but with more black peppery taste.
Okay. Very cool. So all February, DRI is gonna. Well, sorry, in February that's where DRI is gonna be Australia and New Zealand. And I wanted to make sure to mention that because I look at my stats on on Spotify and YouTube and a couple other places. I actually get listeners in New Zealand. I don't know. I have no idea why. It's happened. So I hope someone hears this and goes to your show. At least you hopefully get
Good
one
deal.
extra body. Um,
Nice.
well, all right. Hey, again, thank you very much. I hope you. Mom and I are gonna try to see DRI again, at least as soon as we can.
Yeah, this year probably.
Okay. Until
Hopefully.
then, you just have a good time, man. I hope the best, and yeah, have fun out there.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yep.
Free. This June 15th, 2024, Ukiah, California, the Redwood Metal Fest, a free rock and metal concert, will be held at Alex Thomas Plaza, Ukiah, California. Bands like Schizo, A Waltz in Violence, and 14 more bands will be there to give you a good time. That's right, it's free. Redwood Metal Fest, free. Thank you.